How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Positive Mindset Podcast, where we work together to raise our vibration, lift our perspective, and build a positive mindset. My name is Henry, and in this episode, we're going to talk about how to raise your vibration. If you are someone that wants to build that positive energy, if you want to create a positive, abundant life, then this is going to be the episode for you, because we're going to talk about how to make a shift that you desire. If you want change, if you want to be somebody that is inspired, that is fulfilled, then this is going to be the episode for you. But before we get started, we're going to take a few moments to slow down, zero in. We're going to take some deep, healing, meditative breaths to help us align on the frequency that we want in our lives. So you can pick a word. It could be love, joy, happiness, abundance, whatever frequency you want. And we're going to take a deep breath in. And as you're breathing in, you're going to say that word over and over and over again. Really charge yourself up with that frequency. And then as you're holding your breath, visualize yourself doing something in that frequency. And then once you exhale, anything that no longer resonates with you will leave you, and you'll be in a more positive state. So let's go ahead and take a deep breath in. And out. Well, we're going to do another deep breath. This one is about alignment, about getting ourselves in receiving mode so that we can receive the message that we need to hear today to get us in that positive perspective. So just imagine that you are surrounded by the most healing, uplifting energy that's meant specifically for you. It could have a certain color, a certain taste, a certain smell, however you imagine it. And when you breathe it in, it's going to charge you up. It's going to break down the negativity, the blocks, the weight, everything that's just been holding you back. And then once you exhale, anything that no longer resonates with you will leave you, and you'll be in a more positive state. So let's go ahead and take another deep breath in. And out. One thing that is true in our life is that we decide where the power lies. Now, that doesn't mean that you can take control of it immediately, but what it does mean is we do decide where the power is. And wherever we allow that power to be, creation happens. You see, creation is happening within you, but when you are not in control of your ability, then something external is using you to create. Meaning, through suggestion, through influence, through expectations, stuff is being created through you and by you, but not necessarily what you desire. Once you realize that you have the power to create anything, you have to take that power back. If you want a positive life, nothing external will create that for you, because nothing external truly solves anything internal. The state of being, how you are internally, is all that truly matters. There are so many people that have everything that we desire, that we think will make us happy, yet they're miserable. And then there's so many other people that have nothing that we think we need, but yet they are extremely satisfied with their experience. Nothing external is going to make an internal thing change. All it is perspective on life. When you decide that it is up to you, that you have the power to create the feeling that you're in, that you have the power to change the frequency that you're in, you are in control. Now, how do you make this shift? How do you become something positive? How do you build that positive mindset within you? You would think this would be something that we are taught from day one. You would think that everybody would be concerned with how do you be happy, and then how do you show other people how to be happy? I can't tell you why that's not the number one thing taught, but I can share with you how you can start to make the shift to become that person and then start giving that frequency away. Your mission is to solve what is most difficult for you, whether it's the family you were brought up in, the current situation you find yourself in now, whatever is causing you the most pain, wherever the struggle is the hardest, whatever you want to change the most, is the indication of what you get to solve and then what you get to give to the world. Your perspective will be lifted through this process. As you learn to find the good in something, you raise your perspective. Think about frequency. There's high frequency and low frequency. It's all existing at once. If it's all existing at once, that means in the exact experience you're having now, you can feel differently. And it's a choice. You may not know how to make that choice, but it is. When you pause for just a moment, when we take that deep breath in, we practice stillness. The idea is to observe the situation. If you start thinking about yourself as a being that's here to heal, it changes how you view things. Because then you see the difficulties in front of you and you no longer receive them, you start observing them. When something happens, you no longer receive the thing that happens, you observe it. As you slowly start shifting to this observer, then you can start to look around. When you're in your observation energy, you can reflect and look at all. When you see somebody do something hurtful, you no longer just see the hurtful act. You slowly are able to start to see the full complexity of the person. You start seeing the pain that causes someone to act that way. Then you start seeing the love that is there. It may be wanting, it may be hard to find, but there is love. Even in the most tragic events, there is love. And your ability to find it directly correlates with your inner peace. So stop trying to become something external and start focusing on raising that internal state. That will set you free. That will give you the power. Imagine when things start happening to you that you're no longer reactive, that you are no longer out of control. That doesn't mean you don't react. It just means that you're able to react from a place of peace, a place of confidence, a place of fulfillment. And what you'll do is you'll start bringing that positive energy within you more. When something painful happens or hurtful happens and you respond with pain and hurt and agony, then you are creating that energy even more. When somebody does something to you or when something happens to you that is bad, that is hurtful, and then you respond with anger, what frequency are you vibrating in? Even if it's deserved, even if the person, what they did, deserved an angry response, what frequency are you in when that happens? If your goal in life is to be right, is to win, is to be the one that comes out on top, then you're probably going to be in those frequencies. You're going to give back what was given to you, and you're going to be flowing in that negative frequency. You may be correct. People might agree with what you did, but do you have the inner peace? If you want the inner peace, you'll realize that you are separate from the action. You do not need to give back what was given to you because you don't receive it. It may happen to your body, but it's not happening to your energy. It's happening for you to observe. And when you take that perspective each and every day, it frees you from the weight of negativity. It frees you from the heaviness of anger, of pain, of depression, of doubt, of anxiety. All of those things are lower frequency. You're not a bad person for having them. But if you want to shift, you have to decide. Do you want to be successful in your mission of healing and finding love? Or do you want to be right? So many of us are set on being right that we're missing out on the frequency we could be residing in. Who cares if somebody does something hurtful to you if it doesn't hurt? You are bigger than this experience. That doesn't mean that you just take things laying down, but you start to learn how to navigate. When someone does something, you're able to move away. You're able to shift your energy because you start becoming so abundant, so full, that you start making all these different connections. It is a road that you're traveling. You are going to have bumps. You're going to have setbacks. But when you keep shifting that frequency back and you keep thinking, how is this happening for me? What am I observing? What energy am I going to take from this? And then how do I move forward? The best revenge is a life well lived. I used to think about that comment. I used to think about how that must mean when somebody does you wrong, when something bad happens to you, that you just live this life where you make more money. Maybe you're at a job and they did something terrible and you just live this life where you become this famous person in the industry. Or maybe it's a relationship. You're dating this person and they did whatever, so you're going to date somebody even better looking or even wealthier or more famous, and you're just going to win. I used to think that's what it meant. But a life well lived has nothing to do with external results. A life well lived is a life full of peace, is a life full of perspective, is a life full of love. So you cannot go achieve those things for the fact of something happening to you, because if you're achieving them because of what happened to you, then you're achieving them within negative energy. And even with all those things, you will still be operating in the lower frequency of what happened. A life well lived is a life of peace, where you're able to move around with your shoulders at ease, where you're able to give love freely because you're abundant with it. You're able to give forgiveness freely because you're abundant with it. And if you want to expand and you want to attract money, you want to attract a level of success on this earth, those are fine. But those are secondary to the energy you're creating within you. Once you take away people's ability to affect your frequency, they no longer can take you down. You have freed yourself. You have become part of the movement of the rising tide. You have become free of lower frequency. How good would that feel? Think about your current situation. Think about everything that's pulling you down, everything that's hurting. Visualize it. Now imagine none of it changing, but it not sticking to you anymore. It doesn't bring you down. It doesn't lower your frequency. It doesn't hurt your heart anymore. It doesn't hurt your experience anymore because you just observe it. You give it love. You give it forgiveness. You're able to just move through it standing tall, standing firm, powerful in your own energy. That doesn't mean that you stick around when someone's going to hurt you. That doesn't mean you stick around in those things. But what it'll do is it gives you the ability to truly get out of it. If you're in a bad situation, your frequency is matching that. And I know that doesn't sound fair, but it is. Like will attract like. So when you make that shift and you move away from that situation, if you don't change within you and you don't find a way to raise your frequency, you will attract it again. How many times have you dated the same person? I don't mean physically the same person, but I mean the same energy. How many times have you found yourself with a boss that's the same energy as the one before? Why do you think those things happen? It's because we have to change our internal state. We have to free ourselves. It's not the person, it's not the thing, it's always us. You have this power. Perspective is the key. So start allowing things to happen for you. Observe them, find the good. That's what you focus on your mind. That's what you let run through your mind over and over and over. Not the bad thing that happened, not the terrible thing that brought you down. Stop talking about those. Let them go. It doesn't mean they're correct. It doesn't mean that they're going to get away with what they've done. It just means you are freeing yourself from the frequency. What you think about and speak about is generally what you are. Even when it's someone else doing it, you are letting yourself be in that frequency. Start thinking of the good that you're seeing with your elevated perspective. Start speaking of the good that you're seeing with the elevated frequency. Then you receive it, you build it within you, and you give it. You move into that flow state. You are the one in control. You are the one with the keys. We are not victims. We are creators. That doesn't mean things don't happen to us. It doesn't mean we're not a victim of things. It just means our energy is ours. We get to decide the frequency we're in, and we will be the rising tide that lifts all ships. Well, thank you so much for listening. I hope this episode was impactful and gave you a positive perspective for your current situation that allows you to shift and free yourself from the energy that no longer serves you. If you want to make sure you don't miss a single episode, make sure you subscribe to my email list. There's a link in the description. It will keep you up to date with every single episode. And if you want to follow me on social media, there's my Instagram and TikTok down below. There's also the Positive Mindset Facebook community. If you want to join a community that is working on growth, that is doing the steps to change their frequency, it's worth checking it out. We actually have a live event on Thursday. It's a boundaries conversation. So if you are someone that is thinking about using boundaries or want to know more about how to put them in your life to protect your frequency so that you can heal and can grow, check it out. The link is down below. Well, thank you so much for listening. Have a great day, and I can't wait to talk to you next time.